topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Geeks, Geezers, and Googlization Show, the home of Googlization Nation, where we talk with HR and business thought leaders about the crazy shift going on in the world of business, technology, and HR. Here's your host, Ira Wolf.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Geeks, Geezers, and Googlization. Hello, everyone in Googlization Nation. We hope that you continue to be safe, particularly protecting yourself, social distancing, masking. It's getting pretty scary out there. And welcome back, Joyce Joya, as my co-host again. So appreciate it.
Great to be here with you, Ira.
Yeah, I'm sort of living in my bubble here. I have my office, and obviously I've been working from home for a long time. But the office, there's one window, and I have it blacked out because the sun light literally comes right in my face, and not very good when we're on Zoom calls to have this light coming in. Plus, I can't see when early in the morning or earlier in the day. It's a direct light, so I have it blacked out. So I walked up the steps just a few minutes ago to get ready, refresh my coffee. And it's like 2 inches of snow on the ground. I didn't even know it was supposed to snow. So, one of those events of living in the bubble, which sort of reflects what we're going to be talking about today.
Yes, and it's one of those things I miss, by the way. Living in Austin is the snow. Yeah, but I left New York because I didn't like it.
Yeah. I don't miss it at all. But we live just at the foothills of the Poconos, so we're going to get that again. But you talk about living in this bubble, what's going to happen next? And every time I walk up the steps, it's cloudy, it's raining, and today it was snowing. Our guest today, he's a repeat. He actually has the record for most repeat guests. Is Alan Beaulieu from ITR Economics,
and with good reason.
Yeah. Oh, outstanding reason. One is he's a great guest, but sure. With the firm, he's head of ITR Economics with his brother. The firm is about 70 years old, I believe. He can correct me on that. I think it was started in 49 or so. But since they got involved and they've taken it over for the last 30 some years, 94.7% accuracy rate predicting the economy. I won't say predicting, forecasting what the economy will be like. I got a futurist on here. So forecasting the economy, what it's going to be like a year out. Nobody's that good at the month out or 2 weeks out or even a quarter, but a year out, 94.7%. So it's amazing. I sent out a newsletter the other day that he was going to be on the show again. We've been posting on LinkedIn, getting a lot of feedback. And so many people said, "Oh, I've seen him for years," or they subscribe to his newsletter, which he will share with you how you can join it. And I highly recommend participating in that, subscribing to that as well, especially if you're in business. No question about it.
Every year, I issue a workforce forecast for the next year. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what Alan has to say so that I can incorporate that with credit, of course, into my forecast.
Yeah, well, you may have an extra long newsletter this year.
It's pretty long.
Yeah, so without a whole lot more ado, there were just a couple things that happened this week. I know you've had an incredibly busy, crazy week.
Oh.
I know that. That's what you were doing between yesterday and today.
I spoke for UNESCO this morning.
Yeah. No, again, it's sort of like what pandemic. I mean, some of us are incredibly busy, and other people are struggling, and that's what we're going to talk about. What's that economic outlook going to look like? I had some fairly. This was a busy week for me, as usual, as it always is. But my book, Recruiting in the Age of Googlization, was actually selected to be the top 50. It was the top 50 book to read in 2021. From Thinkers 360.
Great.
I know somewhere around.
Congratulations, Ira.
Yeah,
what a wonderful feather in your cap.
Yeah, thank you. And a couple articles. The article yesterday, Resilience, that I focused on resilience, was just in Cornerstone On Demand Rework. So if you go to Cornerstone On Demand Rework, it's there. But if you subscribe to Googlization Nation, which is googlizationnation.com, you'll get updates on when these things happen. And, plus updates on the shows and show notes and so forth and so on. But without further ado, I want to bring on Alan.
Great.
As we mentioned just before, Alan Beaulieu is an economist, has been in the business for, I believe since 1985, I believe is when he and his brother got involved with ITR. You can correct me on that, Alan. But again, you've got a huge following. I don't think I've had as much response about somebody being a guest, and maybe it's you, and it's also, who knows?
That topic, maybe a little bit, just a little bit. Huh?
Well, it's certainly an important topic. And thanks, Ira and Joyce. I'm glad to be here with you.
Great to have you on, Alan.
So I got a question for you. I contacted you somewhere, or you and Lindsay, just back in, I don't know, maybe it was May or June, and said, hey, what's going on? I was like, hey, we don't have time, which I fully understand. So I really am grateful that you've carved out some time to be back on their show. But so what have you been doing all year?
Well, nonstop, we've been doing our best to help businesses see their way through all the noise and through everything that's going on. As you know, Ira and Joyce, the headlines are one thing, the reality is another. And so we deal with numbers and trends and what's actually happening and fit it into our clients' world and to their markets and to their offerings and make it work for them. And the amount of fear was certainly palpable. But as you talked about, Ira, I mean, there's a lot going on too. And so a lot of our client base, it was the couple months of slam the door shut, but then all of a sudden they're faced with this new world. But uncertainty abounded. So our job has been to show them reality so that they can prepare properly. And that means spend money. That means get ready for what should be a good 2021. Employment demands are going to only increase. And people who are having a hard time hiring now, it's just going to get worse in 2021. Absolutely amazing.
Well, you're certainly preaching to the choir here.
Yes, indeed, you are.
I've been talking about that for a while. I don't know if you had a chance to listen or read anything that I've done in the last couple of months, but I talked about that the businesses, we have these two economies, or it seems that we have two economies. We have the thriving, we have Wall Street and Main Street, which is not an exact, but people get the picture. But one of the things that some of the businesses that were still working and hiring, they used to get 25 or 50 people to apply, and now they're getting one. This is a real example. 50 used to get 25 to 50 people every time he posted a job ad. Posted it maybe in July, had 1,400 Indeed applications within 24 hours. Small business wasn't prepared for that. They used to struggle with, how do we narrow down 50 resumes to 2 and maybe have 2 good candidates out of that? Out of 1,400, as you said, lots of noise in there. People just applying to be able to get off that. But it's remarkable because I was looking at some graphs, doing a lot of work, and I know Joyce has got a couple key questions here for you as well as we look for the forecast. The U.S. was doing pretty well. I don't know if this has changed on the kind of the manufacturing cost index. I mean, we always think of that. We can't compete. We heard this in politics. We can't compete because it's just much too expensive. Yet the research that you're showing, if you really look at the evidence and the data, I know that's unique, but we actually we're doing pretty well.
We're doing very, very well. Ira, that's one of the biggest mistruths in our country, is that we can't compete. You look at the reasons why businesses are investing in the United States, foreign direct investment, they give their reasons. You look at the reasons why people are reshoring, they give their reasons, and cost is an important part of it. I mean, there are many other reasons, but the cost advantage is obvious, and because their market's here, their major market is here, and to Europe it's easy from here. On the Boston Consulting Group's cost index, they rate us at like 100, it is 100. China is 95 to 97, just a little better than us. We're way better than Europe. We're more expensive than Mexico, but our resiliency, supply chain resiliency, is much higher than
Much higher.
Mexico. So
Mhm.
this is an amazing place, and I really get annoyed when people say we can't compete because we're the second largest manufacturing nation on the planet. Darn it! And why don't we realize that? It's mind-boggling to me.
The secret, Alan, is to look at lake shoring, not
Lake
just
shoring.
reshoring, but lake shoring. And lake shoring has to do with finding the lowest cost place in the US where you can find the talent and you can set up shop.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And I was surprised when I saw that list, Joyce, that Michigan ranks pretty high on that list because
Yes.
you always think it's emptying the north into the south, but Michigan was like number 3 or 5 or something on the list of recipients. Pretty
Yeah.
incredible.
It is.
I just love what's happening. I'm excited about what's happening. I just wish more people knew it so that they didn't walk around looking like Eeyore. Well, what's the country anyway?
Let's give people some hope.
Now I know why you're so popular, Alan.
Yeah. So I want to let's try to give people some hope or outlook, and the courage to move forward. So we're looking toward 2021, just around the corner at this point. What are some of the industries? I know Joyce has a couple questions about these too, but what are some of the you talk about it in soft landings and hard landings. What are some of the industries you see that are going to have a soft landing or are going to rebound pretty quickly? And which are the other ones that may into first, second quarter may still be struggling or even going down the curve a bit?
Well, the latter will be the group that you would expect. Hospitality, hotels, airlines, travel, tourism, all of that's going to have a difficult 2021. You could add to that, although there's going to be some improvement. It'll be mild, it'll be slow. They're going to be suffering from the pandemic one way or another for quite a while. I think others that may not be getting the attention, well, you probably give them all the attention they need, but others may not think about will be office space. With the distributed workforce, that's taking a beating, and it will take a beating through 21. And in general, our leading indicators say commercial construction, non-residential construction will be very soft in 21. That normally lags the economy anyway, so it's not unusual, but it is something to keep in mind.
Well, and Alan, with all of the neighborhood retail and restaurants closing, that's going to open up a lot of extra spaces as well that would have been sometimes built separately. So that's just another matter.
That's true. You made me think. I'm sorry, Ira, you go ahead. It's your show.
No. You finished. You're the guest. I want to hear from you.
Well, you just made me think of something, Joyce, that I get really annoyed with economists and others who talk about the hundreds of thousands of bankruptcies that are going to come in 2021 and put us back into a recession, and they're just full of this doom and gloom. And I go, they have it backwards. Recessions cause bankruptcies. Bankruptcies don't cause recessions. Because when there's a bankruptcy and a recovery, that means that somebody else's that's a competitor is going to gain that business. They're going to grow. They're going to hire. They're going to spend. They're going to keep the economy going. It's the ones who can't make the climb up the hill aren't going to make it. Others are going to succeed even faster. And it also opens up space for entrepreneurs and for small businesses to come in. That's the way it has always worked. And I just defy anyone to prove that's worked differently. And even after the Great Recession with that mountain of bankruptcies, we had recovery in 10, 11, and 12. And I think this is those restaurants. You made me think about restaurants, Joyce. And I get excited because I had some folks in New York doing the Eeyore thing over restaurants. They're all gone. And I go, no, they're not. And the ones that did close, you don't think some other family is going to come along and open that up when the economy picks up, when people start hitting the streets again? You think they're gone for good? Really? That's just somebody failed so somebody else can succeed. That's all that's what capitalism does.
Alan, it's amazing that you bring that up because there was just an article now. I'm in Lehigh Valley, so regional area, dynamic growth. And so there's two questions to this. But the one was, there was just an article that came out. I get it online, but in the newspaper, and it showed all the restaurant closings for 2020. And you looked at it, and it's a long list. Then they showed the number of restaurant openings.
Yeah.
It was bigger.
Yeah.
The landmark restaurants here, it was called Ritz Barbecue. It's been around. I went to school here 50 years ago, and it was here then. It really is part of the history, and it closed in the spring.
Yeah.
And yesterday, the headlines was somebody bought it. They're reopening it.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it, Ira. One question for you, though. What is this thing, newspaper, you mentioned? I have no idea what that is.
I guess it's electronic news, right?
Okay. Want to let you know I was listening, that's all.
Yeah, that's why I hesitated when I said that. It was like, I really don't I don't get the newspaper, except for I do get the Saturday edition of the Wall Street Journal.
Oh, how come?
That actually comes, they deliver it, and it actually comes the same day. I don't know why I opted for it, but I sort of like it. Maybe it's just reminiscing, a bit. But let's talk about the future. So there's a couple other things going on. Obviously, and this fits into the construction. If I look around the Lehigh Valley, there are tremendous home growth, and partly because many people are moving outside from New York. We're 70 miles west of New York City. So people are saying, hey, we're not going to do that crazy commute. We need more space. We don't want to live in an 1,100 square foot apartment with 5 people. We're going to buy a home. So there's an aggression or a progression toward Lehigh Valley. Tremendous residential growth.
Austin too.
Yeah, a lot of area. Even Elon Musk has moved to Texas. I just saw. But there's also, when we talk about commercial, the commercial spaces, the office space, the retail, some of the retail spaces, but the distribution centers, I mean, they are just going crazy. So assuming industrial fits under commercial or non-residential construction, do you see a sense of that may pick up? I've got a new client that's in meat processing. He's got $120 million of contracts sitting on his desk that he can't find the people to do the work for him. But all around the country, meat processing plants have to upgrade. They have to do a better job at what they're doing. So do you see how do you see that impacting the construction business?
Well, both things positively. Distribution has been and will continue to be, I believe, in 21 good business, and upgrading meatpacking plants and other facilities for the future preparedness for pandemics, et cetera, is going to remain good business. It's just as a segment that does well, but it's not enough to do more than dull the decline as opposed to, make it into recovery.
Alan, I see the need for certain businesses and institutions to be able to ramp up and ramp down, because this is not the last infection that we're going to have, certainly. And the good news is that now that we have an RNA model, we are very likely to be able to create a vaccine for it in certainly less than 9 months. But what do you see in terms of that aspect of life? Do you see that as well?
You're the futurist. I'm the economist. So, I can't say that I predicted whether or want to even forecast how many pandemics and when they'll be coming. I told our younger staff, our millennials, I said, and I'm 64. I said, I think this will be the last one I see in my working career. But one of my young guys said, and this is training ground for us because there's more coming. And I think that's probably absolutely true. I think it'll be the last one I see in my working career, but they have more to come because that's the world that we've become.
Yeah, I'm not so sure it's going to be post your working career, but
Joyce, you don't know how long I'm going to stay working.
He didn't say life. He didn't say living. He said,
are you intending to leave in 2 years?
Nope.
Okay, so
we're gonna have more volatility. I mean, it's not just another pandemic. I mean, from an economic crisis, terrorism, from cyber attacks, from whatever
kinds of reasons.
A lot of volatility in there.
I'm not sure I'd expect more volatility, actually, folks. We've had cyber attacks going on for years. We have the post 9/11 history to tell us what terrorism does. Terrorism's been going on around the world, and when we look at things cyclically, which is what we do, there has not been this great, oh my gosh, it's all new, it's different, it's a different pattern. Our trends have not differed from the past, other than that they're not so violent, but they haven't become more narrow. So I would tend to differ that we're entering into a period of extreme volatility because of what you said, because it hasn't happened that way in the last 10 years. So I'm not ready to forecast that the future is going to show that either.
Well, here's the difference. During previous administrations, when an infection showed up somewhere in the world, we sent, in the case of Obama, literally thousands of people there to contain that infection, to do what was necessary so that it did not make its way to the United States. That whole office was closed. And I believe that with a new administration, we're going to see a much faster response. And so I feel much more secure. In fact, I was looking at property in Costa Rica. And my husband said, this house that we were looking at just dropped by $15,000. And I said, yes, because Biden was elected and people like us decided that we'd be just as safe staying here in the United States than moving to Costa Rica, because I feared another 4 years of a laissez-faire administration with pandemics happening. That gives me some sense of security. That makes me feel like going forward, we're going to have at least health security. I don't know about economic security, though. Certainly what you're telling us is that we are likely not to be as affected by this pandemic as some people are thinking.
Right.
Well, the first part of what you were saying speaks to, you believe there'll be less volatility going forward because of pandemics, not more.
Correct.
What I heard, which I must have misunderstood you. I thought you said before that there's going to be more volatility because of that.
Oh, well, there's insecurity. I mean, certainly with 280 something thousand of us having passed away because of the lack of national guidance. I mean,
but that's a short term. I mean, we're talking long. I mean, we will get past this. I mean, it's tragic, and it'll go down in history, and we can talk about the mismanagement. But we're talking beyond that. I mean, once we get that, what have we learned from that? So, I want to make sure we cover a couple things. Is there certainly a few industries? We talked about construction. Healthcare is certainly under huge pressures. Where do you see the investment, or what do you see happening to the healthcare industry, in the near future?
Well, near future is the term I'm stumbling over. For the near term, medium term, longer term, you're going to find demand continue to increase. How it's going to be paid for is a function of whether government's going to move towards a single payer system, or whether we're going to increase co-pays, whether we're going to increase insurance payments, whatever it happens to be. But the demand curve is just going to continue because of you and I.
Yes, we baby boomers. We keep getting older. Well, but the alternative is not so good, right?
Alan, where do you see some of the fastest? I mean, for people that are looking to invest, or people that are looking, we're talking about the job market, people that are looking to get back into the job market. What are some of the industries that are going to be the fastest to recover? And you talked earlier about the ones that are probably in for a longer haul.
Well, the ones that are going to they are quickly recovering now would be most manufacturing, certainly construction trades, as you alluded to, Ira. There's insatiable demand going on now. Distribution, you mentioned distribution centers, but that's a lot of people involved. Trucking industry can't get nearly enough people. So, I mean, there are really good paying jobs out there. Some require a college degree, some do not require a college degree, some provide training, some do not. But the reality is it's happening, and you can have a good lifelong career in those fields I just mentioned, beginning, 2 months ago.
Well, there's been shortages of truck drivers now, Alan, for decades.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's become really acute because of COVID.
Well, clearly.
And, lack of drivers was one thing, and lack of rigs was another. So and shipping prices as well as trucking has really
A budget rent-a-truck delivered my purple carrot box this morning.
I have no idea what a purple carrot box is, but
It's a meal kit.
Oh, okay.
Kit.
Yeah,
Okay.
another thriving industry. How many
Thriving.
organizations? Yeah,
you know, one of the ideas I had for restaurants is that they start doing meal kits.
well, it's funny you mentioned that. I don't know if you're familiar with Charlene Lee. She actually was a guest lecturer. She wrote The Disruption Mindset, but she was a guest lecturer last night in my graduate organizational leadership class. And she had talked about one of her favorite businesses in San Francisco. It was an ethnic group. And, obviously they got shut down. They've been under lockdown. They're on lockdown again. And the owner of the business literally would take order. She knew her customers. That was part of it. Understand who your customer was. She started to deliver the packages or home packages, and also started to freeze create prepared meals that they can use for the week, or even freeze them.
Right,
So,
right.
Traditional restaurant that people used to go to. And she's thriving, and she's not sure she'll open the restaurant again.
Well, that gets to my whole meal plan suggestion, which I told you months ago, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Alan, we digress.
Yeah.
No,
So, Alan, so what can we look toward? We're just weeks away from the first quarter, but from a job market, because that's where Joyce, I spend a ton of time there.
And employee retention is my area of
which is going to be a huge factor. People are going to have to keep the people because other businesses are going to want to hire. Where do you see the unemployment rate? What do you see on a recovery for that?
Well,
because right now it's 6-7%. So.
Yeah, 6.4% now, and the Federal Reserve has been saying it'd be around 6 for the end of the year. We have been 2, and you probably remember that used to be called full employment. Back when we were taught economics.
Right.
It's going to continue to go down. Jobs are going to continue to grow, which means consumers will have money. They will spend. The economy ramps up. It's all working as it should. It's a machine that is producing what it should produce: opportunity and growth. And it's just going to continue through 21 and into 22 and into 23, and we're going to have a good run. Interesting. Go ahead.
So has your 2022 outlook changed? Because initially, I think one of the few times I think before you were looking at 2021, and then maybe 2022 would slow down. Are you because of this? Do you now see that continuing longer, the growth?
Well, we still have a slowdown. We actually had in prior times when we've talked, Ira, a mild recession built in through there. This really, all the stimulus provided an afterglow. We have a lot going on in this country that's going to carry us into that. So all we see is a flatness developing. 1 quarter of GDP softness. Not enough to count as a recession, that type of thing. So it won't be as vibrant out there as it will be in 21, but it'll still be up, and the percentages will still be positive, and people will still grow and make money, and people have babies, and life will go on, and all will be good.
I actually had heard that the birth rate might go down, but who knows?
Well, it's been slipping for a while.
Right.
I don't know if this COVID thing's going to spike it or not. That's a near-term trend. I know the bigger issue in my mind on the people front is immigration. We need to ramp up immigration to provide labor and taxpayers and opportunity and economic energy. I'm not one of those who think immigrants take American jobs. We have so few coming in and millions of open jobs that aren't being taken by Americans that it's hard to say that immigrants are taking jobs.
Yes, Ed Gordon says 10 million by the beginning of next year or something like that.
Open
10
jobs.
million open jobs.
Jobs.
That's a lot of immigrants.
Well, no, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about open jobs.
Yeah.
So, Alan, we are, amazingly fast. We can talk for quite a while, but I'll ask for any kind of final comments. How can people get a hold of you? As I said earlier on, highly recommend the newsletter. Let people know how they can subscribe to that if interested.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ira. ITR at itreconomics.com. And you'll reach someone. You can ask about the newsletter. We have 2. And so you can see if one of those right for you. Very different price points, very different deliveries. But ITR at itreconomics.com will do it. And thank you for asking me that. I appreciate it. I wish you both the best. Happy holidays to you. And look forward to talking to you down the road sometime.
Yeah, I love definitely. You have an open invitation anytime that you want to be back. If not, I'm going to reach out to you again, and we'll get updates in 2021 for
All
sure.
right.
Thanks, Alan. I'd love
Alan.
to run some things by you when I get my workplace forecast done. Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That
was fast, wasn't it?
Yeah, always is with him. There's just so much, but it was a solid, good, solid conversation. So appreciate that, and mostly it's uplifting, which we need from somebody who again has got almost a 95% accuracy rate. So we need that. But for right now, we're going to take a short break. We're going to hear from sponsor, Success Performance Solution. When we come back, we're going to have a slightly new twist on Ahead of the Curve. We're going to welcome back a guest co-host, Michael Spermulli. He's going to be talking about a few tech tips. So stay tuned. You've been listening to Geeks Geezers Googlization. I'm Ira Wolf. I'm here with my co-host, Joyce Joya. We will be right back. Hiring top talent shouldn't be left up to the roll of the dice. And yet, that's exactly what many organizations do. They roll the dice, cross their fingers, and pray for a better outcome. Hiring the right employees the first time is much too important and way too costly to leave to a game of chance. Your employees and your customers deserve better. For 25 years, Success Performance Solution has been helping small and medium-sized businesses hire smarter. They offer pre-employment and leadership assessments from typing and data entry to C-suite competence. Whether it's production, sales, healthcare, call centers, or management, Success Performance Solutions can help. Visit their website at www.successperformancesolutions.com to schedule a free demo or call 800-803-4303.
A lot of you might be feeling like you're standing in deep shift. But do you know what grows and rises out of deep shift? Opportunity. To successfully navigate the shift to the new normal, each of us must learn to rapidly adapt to the speed of change. Some of us are hardwired for this. Others, not so much. That's where Success Performance Solutions can help. Success Performance Solutions is now your AQ headquarters. Whether you are personally struggling with the next chapter in your career or wondering how ready your team is for fast, disruptive change, our AQ assessment and coaching will provide you a detailed, scientifically backed roadmap to guide you into the new normal. Optimize your adaptability today. Contact Success Performance Solutions about evaluating your team's change readiness or joining our upcoming AQ Masterclass. Visit successperformancesolutions.com or call us at 800-803-4303.
Hey, welcome back, everyone, to Geeks Geezers and Googlization. Here with my co-host, Joyce Joya, and we will have a special guest co-host coming back, which is Michael Spermulli. So there he is. There's Michael.
Hello.
Yeah,
Welcome,
appreciate it.
I'll be back with you guys.
Yeah. Hey, before
Good
we
to
get
see you
started,
again.
Yeah. Rebel, if you can put the Googlization Nation up there again, just want to make sure. Yeah, I've got my community, Googlization Nation. Hopefully everybody will be a part of that. We talk, obviously, if you want updates for the podcast, for the radio, for events, for news that's coming out, please join that. It's free, no obligation, and it's not on the same day every week type thing yet. But on a regular basis, you'll get an email from me and with news or announcements or events or upcoming speakers. And 2021, we got a couple cool things planned for it. So please join that. And then across the bottom of the screen, you can see a free download for an updated version of of what turned into be my book, Recruiting in the Age of Googlization. When the shift hits your plan, you get basically the first chapter or two from the book in that, and that part was recently updated. So thanks. Now to Michael. Here's a
and if somebody wants to sign up for the Herman Trend Alert, they can go to https.
There it is.
HermanTrendAlert.com, right?
Appreciate
So
it.
thanks.
Yeah, and I
Well,
definitely suggest getting that. What's your topic today that's coming out, Joyce?
oh, today is how cruise ships can get back on the sea safely.
Oh, I'll have to send that to my mother. My mother's just turned 97, and she said the other day, she said, as soon as this is over, we're going on a cruise.
Well, and I questioned whether the cruise ships, I mean, we're talking about a floating germ farm, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So how could they possibly get back safely?
They were bad before, yeah.
Viking has the answer, and they can read my trend alert and find out.
Well, I'll definitely send that to her.
Okay.
I don't know if we're going, but she thinks we are.
So, Michael,
Mike,
tell us how to look good and sound good on these virtual meetings. We're all in all the time.
Oh, we're all in them all the time is correct. And just a little background. I've been a tech geek since I was probably 8. So technology is not my business, but I use a lot of technology in my business. So happy to share a couple of tips with folks on how to best approach these meetings. Because think about the last Zoom call or session you were on. Someone said it's the modern day seance. It's like, Ira, are you there? I can hear you, but I can't see you. And there's all this commotion. And we've been at this now since what? March in earnest, and it's not getting any better. So a couple of things that I like to recommend when you're going on Zoom or any type of platform, WebEx, whatever, it doesn't matter what the medium is. 2 things that you always want to keep in mind. And this comes out of the world of speaking and performing. And that is, number 1, you need to be seen. And number 2, you need to be heard. You follow those 2 guiding principles, and that'll help you up your game so that you're looking good and sounding good when you're on these various meetings. Every day, my phone rings with colleagues and friends and saying, what do you use for ... And they're asking the wrong question. Doesn't matter what I'm using. If you notice here, I'm pretty well lit. I've got a nice background behind me, but most folks don't need that. They need to ask the question, what should I be using? Because it's very easy to go down the rabbit hole when you start looking at technology, and you can end up spending a ton of money on stuff that is complicated and things that you don't need. So let's start with the basics. First off, beyond the shadow of a doubt, you cannot use, if you want to look decent, you can't use the built-in webcam that's on your mobile device or on your computer, because they look horrible. Now, the good news is you don't need to go out and spend thousands of dollars on a webcam or professional studio setup, but there's a great webcam out there that I recommend to folks that has been put through its paces, and it's the Logitech C920. And Ira's going to have in the show notes links to all of these, so don't worry about writing this down if you're in the car. The C920 has been around for ages. I was using that webcam prior to all this pandemic fury went crazy. And it's a great camera. It looks good. It's relatively inexpensive. It's $79. And the reason you want to get an external webcam is because if you're looking down at your screen, you've got this view if the laptop's down here, or it's kind of like this view, and you can't reposition it. So I recommend starting with that camera. They've had other models that came out after it. I don't recommend those. Stick with the 920, $79, easy, works on PC and Mac.
What's interesting, Mike, and this may make or break this.
Yeah,
is I'm using one of those later versions. So it's a C922.
Okay.
So it was actually a wider frame.
It's
essentially the same. So if you like what I look like, if you like how I'm visible, it's the right one. If you don't like it, it's my lighting, my problem. It's not the program.
Well, I saw the 22 out there. I didn't look at the pricing on that. Maybe I'm
it's a little bit more. It's a little bit
more. So I'm looking to give options for folks to just kind of get into the game without, spending their next month's salary on video equipment, which is very easy to do.
Mike, how does it attach to the computer?
Well, basically it connects via a USB port. So if your device has a USB port, you plug it in. You got to go through the gyrations of setting it up, which are fairly simple. And then it just shows up as an additional camera to use based on whatever streaming platform you're in.
That's not what I mean. I mean the camera itself. How does it attach to?
There's a piece of plastic, a little.
Oh yeah, there's a little ledge or hook type of thing that comes with it when it just sets on the monitor. Alternatively, what I recommend is if you really want to get the angle right, put it on an inexpensive tripod. There are many different items that you can put a threaded tripod accessory into, and then you can adjust it exactly at the height that you'd want it to be.
Yeah, many of them come with that.
Very good idea.
Yeah, a lot of them do come with them. And another good piece that you could use for that is they've got these kind of curly Q tripod devices that have like spider legs that you can bend them any way you want. You can clip it on your monitor. You can clip it on a light stand. The good news to keep in mind is what the camera doesn't see, which is everything in front of me. It can look crazy. Doesn't need to look pristine. It's functional, and that's what it's all about, is getting functional and getting online. So after you're seen, you need to be heard. And I was going to do a demonstration, but for the risk of, getting thrown out of the room here and getting disconnected, of showing.
We just have a few minutes left, too.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, but I'm not going to do it. So the bottom line is you need an external mic of some sort. You can't get away with the microphone in your laptop. Yeah, you can, but you're going to sound like you're in a garbage can. I've got 3 for you to work with. Here's the El Cheapo option, which is still going to be better than the built-in mic. It's a Sennheiser PC8 USB microphone. Again, plugs into the USB port. It's a headset. Sounds a little tinny, but it's going to sound a lot better than your current built-in mic. If you want to step it up a game, a solid workhorse is the Audio-Technica AT 2020. Around $99. It's a heavy microphone, but it has really, really good quality. So that's something.
When you say heavy microphone, what does that mean?
It means it's physically heavy. So you're going to either need a boom arm like this to support it, or a stand. By the way, this is not the AT 2020, but this is a $300 microphone, and you don't need to go out and spend that type of money. The last thing is that lighting is critical. Now, I've got 4 lights on me right now. The average person doesn't need that. I'm a bit obsessive. I admit that. I've got 2 lights lighting me, 2 lights lighting a green screen background. By the way, don't mess with green screen. It's a pain unless you're set up for it all the time, and it just looks horrible. So what do you need for lighting? The entry point, if you just want to jump in quick and dirty, go with one of those ring lights where the camera is in the middle of the ring, and it's almost like a fluorescent or LED light that really makes you look flattering. It has a very flattering appearance. There you go. Okay, they're quick. The one that I recommend is a Neewer, spelled Neewer ring light, 18-inch kit. It's about $71 currently on Amazon. Again, Ira will put links so that you'll have that to go to. Don't get the 12-inch one, which is less expensive. You need light and lots of it. If you want to take it to the next game and actually start getting into studio lighting like I have here, you can get away with GVM lights. So GVM is just the brand. I have 4 of them that I'm looking at here. A 2-piece GVM lighting setup is about $197, and that comes with stands and things. And you're able to actually control the lights via an app, so you can sit there and dial in your settings and make things look good.
Or a little remote control.
Remote control.
I have 2 of those. Yeah, I have the DAZZNE, the DAZZNE.
They're all the same. They're just private labeled. I mean, it's really
wherever you get the best deal.
Yeah, wherever you can get the best deal. Don't get hung up on, well, I got to get a $300 light or a $500. You got to light it. It's got to be lit evenly. It's got to be lit across the board. And that immediately puts you, whether you're the CEO of the company or you're on a sales call or you're dealing with your team, it just elevates the whole experience. And it doesn't look like you're looking at someone doing, a video on TikTok from their car, which really doesn't convey that amount of professionalism put out there.
Thanks
Mike,
for the humor along with the great information, Mike.
I'll send you the bill for the humor. That costs extra.
So I can always count on Mike for that. Mike, that was great. So we will put the links in for everybody. I'll put some references, give people some options. on that. And Mike, if they want to get a hold of you.
Yeah, if they want to get me and you want to ask a simple question via email, feel free. It's at, you can email me, very simple, michael@spremulli.com. And Spremulli is spelled Spremulli. If it's a long, convoluted question, I probably won't answer you. But if you got something quick, I'm happy to point you in the right direction. I'm just being as honest and as candid as I can
Mike's
be.
got another world. I mean, the geek
Mike,
side. Also, I think, are you? I know you don't go by magician, illusionist, right?
No, I'm a mentalist mind reader. I've used all the stuff that I've learned over these years of assessing personality in an entertainment capacity, which I haven't done a performance since February for obvious reasons. But yeah, you can find out more about that at spremulli.com as well for when all the travel restrictions have been lifted and we're back to somewhat of the new normal.
Mike, I think you're missing a really good revenue generating opportunity to do affiliate programs with all of these.
There's a ton of people. I don't get
that-
all that excited about that. I mean, I like talking tech, but I don't want to build a business around that. I got enough going on. But
Joy,
I think
whenever you get back to doing events and somebody's looking for somebody,
right. Okay, I got it.
Your guy, I've seen him multiple times, and including when we've done some conferences and things. He's done that. Crazy. This has gone. I say it every week. It goes fast, but
it always does. We can come back and do it again in a few weeks with something else. So.
Yeah, and we do hope to plan to do this once a month.
Good idea. Yes.
Great. So one episode every month of Ahead of the Curve. We're going to focus on tech tips. So we'll figure out if anybody has any suggestions. You're struggling at home with an idea, and again, if it's short and easy, and Mike can do it, we'll talk about it.
What do you need to know about personal technology? Right.
Exactly. Because everybody struggles. And here's the thing. I know we're running short on time. Technology is moving so fast, we can't figure it out. So don't feel like you're alone and buried in the mire. I'm buried in the mire. No one knows it all. So don't be afraid to ask questions.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
So, again, Joyce, we've got crazy fast. Yeah, where did 48 minutes go? Right, already.
I certainly don't know. It just seemed
and
like
you and I haven't had a whole lot of time to chat. But we'll be back next week. Next week, we actually got another talking about technology. Dennis Hill will be joining us. One of his many companies that's involved with is called Exacta, but we're going to be talking about personal information security. It's coming up a lot, even this morning. I know people were talking about COVID apps, how to track where people are, and then there's this whole concern about what happens to my data. Who knows where I'm tracked?
Right.
So we're going to be talking about cybersecurity threats for small, medium-sized businesses and globally, but also what's the trend on personal information security. You may be pleasantly surprised of what's down the road.
I hope I will be, because I've heard a lot of scary stuff about that, actually.
It's going to be another huge disruption in the business with technology. So some good will come out of it. It's going to be disruptive, some concerns if you don't know what you're doing. And that'll be our 50th and final show of the year. And then we'll be back with Ahead of the Curve with Joyce. I think recognition. We're going to close the year with
the power of recognition.
Talking about the power of recognition, especially in the normal 2.0 and going into 2021. So be a great wrap up. We appreciate everybody being here today. Another episode of Geeks Geezers Googlization. Appreciate Thanks to Alan Beaulieu from ITR Economics. Hopefully you'll share the episode. A lot of good data in there. Optimistic. Things are looking up. Next year should be a good year, good year, and even 2022 and maybe even the 2023. So that's we're going to hopefully leave everybody for the year on a very positive note. I want to thank Success Performance Solutions again for being a sponsor. If you want to get the newsletter, googlizationnation.com. If you want to get Joyce's newsletter,
Trend Alert, right?
HermanTrendAlert.com. And if you missed the show or you want to replay it, you want to share it, it is available on YouTube, Facebook, and almost every podcast out there. So, Audible. We're now on Audible, Amazon Audible, Spotify, iHeart, you name it. We're there. So please subscribe. Please share it. Let us know we're on. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, topics you'd like to hear. Until next week, Joyce, we'll see you.
Thank you, Ira. It's really a pleasure.
And to everyone else, don't let the shift hit your plans.